welcome back to another episode of One Hit High Points. This is Kareem.
And Travis.
And David.
And newly David.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, this is David. This is one of our best friends and one of the people we trust the most in this world with pretty much everything that goes through our brains. He hears a lot. He's a great listener.
I'm a vault.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Hold on. We're learning technical things here.
There we go. Hello.
Oh, fun. It's fuzzy.
Yeah, so normally we only have 2 mics out, but now we have 3 mics out. It's fun.
It should be interesting to see how this audio comes out. Hopefully get nice, and I don't get myself in trouble.
No, you know what? It just sucks, because sometimes... Oh, shit. We got another technical difficulty, but this time with the lighting. It's okay. We'll leave it off. It's a nice ambiance. Sometimes what happens when we record a podcast episode, especially when it gets really passionate, it's always funny too. It feels like the universe is cutting me off, but it will not have recorded, and it'll just feel like
we haven't
shit.
had that. We haven't had that problem in a long time.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, it's been a minute. All right,
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute. So, pretty much what's been going on with today's podcast episode, tonight's podcast episode, whenever, what time you listen to it, whenever you're hearing this, whenever it's recorded, just kidding.
Whenever we post it.
Yeah, we're just talking about what's kind of going on in life, the current reality of things, and just pretty much how, I guess, the average person's been handling it. And we brought our friend David to kind of give a different, or just not different, but just his perspective on how he's viewing things, and yeah. So, how do you feel about life and how it's going right now? What are some things that are noteworthy for you to talk about, because sometimes that's all life is. Just got to talk about things.
Do you mean my life or just life in general?
Yeah, this isn't an interview of David here.
No, it's not an interview of David. No,
it feels like my last date.
Oh yeah. Right.
No, this isn't speed dating over here. It's
No.
like, okay, so what's your favorite color?
Oh, those are the worst questions.
My
That'd be
favorite
out.
color is black.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
I'd be a cheetah.
It's
Okay.
cheetah.
All right. Well,
I don't know. That was the
What
first
animal
thing
would
that
you
came
be,
to mind.
Cream?
what animal would I be? Probably a killer whale, or a killer whale, but the one that would not ever be captured.
Is that why you've been trying to watch a lot of YouTube videos on them? Because you're trying to manifest that you're going to become one?
No, I just think they're cool.
Or are you going to be eaten by one?
No, that's terrifying. They don't harm humans. They typically. There's no real clashes with them and humans where they've actually killed them. They try to sink boats sometimes because they're pissed.
Honestly, I think I'd be a cat.
Really? Oh shit! Get back up your Mars. Oh no! You slipped. Okay, so anyway, no, I was asking you more about your general view on life and how it's going, and just I'm not your specific life, but life in general. What do you think's happening in the world? What's your opinion?
There's a lot going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the war that's going on right now, inflation, cost of living, the job market. There's so many things that we're dealing with all at the same time.
And a
we
lot
have
of people
to-
don't. And a lot of people think that we're not dealing with anything.
Yeah.
And everything's just hunky dory. Let's just live a nice little good life.
Let's
but
just focus on me, right?
Yeah, I think everything's about just branding yourself in this dystopic reality where you're like, oh, I have this, I have that. I go on one vacation, take 500 pictures, edit it, filter it, do whatever the hell you got to do with it. Or even if you're going on a bunch of those vacations, you're chasing after something that you're trying to prove to the world, when most of the world, even the working class, the upper working class, even wealthy families, a lot of people are struggling right now. No one's really okay with the state of the world, because even if these people are wealthy, they're probably working their asses off also to be wealthy, and they don't want to be spending a shit ton more money now all of a sudden because we want to fund foreign wars. But anyway,
Oh my god.
but yeah, I think inflation sucks because it's really kind of humbling everyone.
We're rolling with the big punches.
Yeah, since we were children to now, and I feel like shit, we're a strong ass generation. We're a generation that's actually really about just saying no to these failed systems that don't benefit the general population. And I think that we can also still promote just working hard, and also really being able to not feel like just because the world is going to shit that you should just give up, but rather make a change, be the change you wish to see. Where's that fire lit under the ass of all these people, where it tells them like this system cannot continue, especially if I'm willing to bring children to this world and want a sustainable future for them. You can't just be like, peace.
Yeah, things just continue to get worse. You know, it's like, listen back to when we were kids, you know, listen to our parents, you know, they were complaining about the price of gas going up, the price of eggs going up, the price of milk going up, and that's 20 to 30 some years ago. You know, like, it's kind of like, we haven't really changed as a society. And then, so I do a lot of introspective thinking and compare myself to my parents a lot based on the age I'm in and just at what, you know, when they were my age, what were they doing? And I'm just kind of like trying to like, I don't know if I'm comparing and contrast to see if I'm on track or off track, but it's just like I do a lot of these thinkings and I'm like, oh, they were complaining about the same thing. They were trying to figure out how do I pay bills and everything else. I'm not trying to justify anything going on right now. It's just, I think, a introspective thought on we haven't changed as a society and we haven't became better in some aspect. You know, there's always these constant struggles.
Right.
And I'm not to negate anything that's going on right now. It's just like just a thought process,
Of
like
course,
back in the past.
of course.
Thing,
There's
you know?
always degreeing levels of these things, like right, like there's moments in history where we've seen these types of systems or circumstances or wherever inflation is or the economy.
We're judging severity of it and trying to compare it to the past,
right? And it sucks that we get almost this conversation from boomers or generations prior or even a little below, where they will say things that kind of undermine the increasing, you know, experience of these said systems and circumstances, and we have the right to kind of say enough is enough. Like, just because you guys tolerated it when it was bad for you does not mean that we're going to tolerate it when it's getting even worse for us. It doesn't make any sense. Like, we shouldn't be evolving to suffer more. We should be evolving to stop suffering because of our own inability to see past our own, you know, varying levels of greed and just fucking shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, but at the same time, I also look back. Have we become our parents in some aspects of life where we always talk about, you know, like we, you know, in our late 20s and 30s, we sit there and we already are referencing the younger generation. And like, have we just become our parents in a way where we just say, oh, you young kids? Like, we've kind of morphed into that in some degree. And it's weird to think of it when we kind of really pay attention to that, because we do look like, yeah, there is a younger generation than me, and we use it oftentimes in a sentence. And it's like, we've become our parents. That's another intro crazy thought that Travis has, but I don't know how that really relates to what we're talking about on the state of the world.
I don't think I've become my parents.
No, we never will, because like, we're our own little
I don't
self.
want to.
I don't think
I don't want to become my parents.
Yeah, nothing wrong with our parents, but you know, it's always there's always room for improvement.
It is very interesting with an up and coming generation like right below us.
Yeah, that's highly influenced, or could be influenced,
Like,
or you know,
how we carry
influence.
ourselves influences the younger generation.
For sure. And I think that's why it's kind of crazy to be a millennial that's understanding with one foot in the Gen X side, while there's also a foot in understanding the Gen Z side, because we're kind of these pillars of the I guess kind of like we're transitioning, or
I think you're kind of looking at it from an angle of technologies. We had one foot in and one foot out growing up.
Yeah.
like
You know, kids today, they just know a cell phone. Like
that's basically the point I was
like
going to make.
from a technological standpoint, the millennials were the last generation that understood both sides of the puzzle, or both sides of the street.
I think lacking having the analog days like in your development is hindering the younger generation a little bit.
Yes. And it's funny, as I get older, I'm trying to detach myself more and more from all the technology, even though I'm a huge tech nerd. Like, anyone that knows me knows I love tech, and I'll continue to buy things just because I can buy things. But
you just don't want to use it to interact.
I don't want it to. I want to use it more as like a hobby versus something that controls me and defines me. Like how I like paper airplanes. I want to build model planes or whatever. Like, that's a hobby. Like, yeah, I like Siri controlled things, and my guess is she's going to go off now because I said her name. But it's like it's like a hobby type thing of mine. You know, like, I think that's just. I don't know how this conversation got morphed this way, but it's like a very introspective, and maybe that's like you first asked David earlier on. like how do you feel about the world and things like that. And I think for me,
And things like that.
it is yes, things like that.
Circling back.
I think it's just more of like, for me, is that there's so much going on that I sometimes disassociate, and I start having these intro thoughts of mine of comparing things, and I think this is just a reflection that the world's so crazy that I'm just in my mind comparing things, trying to find the
We
answer.
all
I'm
are.
assuming
We all are. We
Um,
all are, and that's why it's so funny. Because sometimes you have conversations with people you haven't seen in a while, from
Or
like high
yourself.
school, or yourself. Yeah, but when you have random conversations with people you run into, and you feel like you talk about the most random fact out of nowhere for no fucking reason, or just some random like dark detail of how the world's going. You're like, oh shit, and then you're like, all right, well, bye. You know what I mean? You're just like, why did I just say that? Why couldn't I have just been normal and been like, oh hey, how's it going? Life's great, bye. Like sometimes I forget to do that. I'm like, yeah, like.
Trauma dump.
Sometimes, because actually not always.
Everybody is so much more openly talking about all the negative stuff going on in their lives, though. People used to
Yeah.
sugarcoat it so much, and nowadays people are more open about. Well,
I think
you
because people
know.
want the attention
No, I think
in
there's
some aspect of it,
I- Well,
some
there's always
some
those
degrees.
people.
I think for what I was trying to say is that there's a level of realness in me now that I can't hide anymore. I think it's not like
Yeah.
I'm like stating like, oh, there's impending doom, we're all gonna die. I don't say that to people. It's more or less when someone's asking me like straight up like, how's it going? I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like this is what I'm doing right now. Like yeah, I left my I got laid off because I didn't want to take the position, and now I have more time to focus on my own like things in life that I want to do. And they'll just like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. Before, I think people would be more inclined to say, oh, just like figuring things out in life, like everything's good. Yeah, I'm just like real, because it's allowing people who get to see that there's a relatability to me. Just because you see me doesn't mean that I have to fucking lie and make it seem like my life's greater, because I can then make that person walk away and be like, shit, like everyone has a great life and I don't. Like, no, I'm relating. If you're gonna perceive me as less than because I'm being honest, I don't give a fuck.
But I also think as you get older, we learn our true friendships and true relationships and people within our close circle, and we become.
You attract real people
no,
by being real. That's
well,
what I'm
well,
saying.
that yes,
Yeah.
but at the same time, these people understand us more. So, in like to David, to your point where you said like people are like used to sugarcoat things, and now like maybe what we just understand those people around us more, that where we always just think it's like somewhat negative or not. Like I don't know, like it's
I just want to save time.
or maybe we're more perspective of the world, where we're more we've interlocked into our emotional being, and we can understand things or see things, and we're just receiving it negatively when it's not necessarily negative. Like I don't know, there's a level of perception and reception there of there's two sides of it. I don't know. Random thought again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have randomness today. Like
two
Mars.
sides to the same coin.
Yeah, every conversation with people is random. It really is. It really is.
I find the most awkward piece of conversations is how to end a sentence, especially like when you're on the phone or like even at like a cash register. Like, okay, bye. Or, like just how people just say things like, okay, bye bye. Like that piece right there. I think that the salutation of everything is just right.
Mhm.
Or salutation at the beginning or the end.
Salutations is the end.
Oh yes, I was right. Grammar paid off.
No, wait.
No, I don't think I'm right. I don't know that answer.
Mars, do you know?
Leave it,
Well,
leave it in the comments
I
if
think
people know.
salutations is like hello and goodbye. It's like any type of greeting or exit, but I'm not sure.
Anyway, I find that the most awkward piece.
Isn't salutations like a salute? Like,
Salute? Yeah.
You,
So
you
isn't the
salute
ending-
when you greet and when you exit when you're a soldier.
okay, so then, oh, whatever. Anyway, so
end of conversations are awkward, just like this was.
every conversation's random. We have random conversations. Just be real when you're having conversations with people. Attract the energy you want in the world.
Random.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways,
Anything you put out and you continue to give energy to in your life will expand,
there we go.
good and bad. So take that information and do with it as you wish.
Thanks, Bob Ross. I think
I'm gonna paint my happy little trees over here.
Aw.
and we'll smoke them later. No, I think that when it comes down to is that with the state of the world and the shit that people are dealing with, I think there's a balance to. We always keep bringing this word up because it's the word of the year for me. is that you got to be able to still be an empath, but also learning how to like not always be an empath in ways that trap you. And I say that to say that just by being real with people and attracting this authenticity in just whatever it is that you do and say, I think that you're going to also attract that energy back to you and also set a precedent of how you want people to treat you. And I don't think that means being like unempathetic and being, just real means that you're just being an asshole. No, I think there's a way of being real and also being empathetically real. And in doing so, you're kind of becoming a healthy empath because you're not lying to people. You're not trying to say things to people that means that you have to sacrifice yourself in order to make other people happy. So when we're all kind of being humbled by the state of the world right now, because I think we all are, and there's a lot of shit people deal with on a daily basis, I think a healthy thing to remind yourself is if you're going to start being able to like be a functioning person in society with the shit you're dealing with, just be an empath, but also like don't be afraid to be real and be honest about what it is that you need out of life and stepping away from situations that you feel are draining, and people will respect that. And
And I think the biggest way that you could show that is just make sure that you're truly listening to someone that you're talking to, like, because I think, like, we're all saying that there's a lot of things in the world. We don't know everything that's going on in the world. We know the major events that's going on, but you don't know everything, as in you don't know each and everyone's unique little issue. And like just being able just to truly listen and vent. And then what you're saying is, as an empath, yeah, I can be there for that person and support that person, but what do I do with that when that conversation ends? And making sure that you yourself are in check. And, you have your sources that you maybe need to, go vent with. There's things like that. You can't always just be there for people without making sure that you yourself is protected, and being able to have an outlet to vent, not just being the sounding board for everyone else. And that goes back to that balance, like the word that we love to hate, so far, because we've been using it over and over. But it's a word that I think that is very meaningful,
Yeah.
One drop more will send, you put drops of water in a cup. There's only one drop that'll eventually make it overspill. And I think that that's the balancing act, is how many drops can you absorb until you spill over.
Do you pour your cup out a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes you need to pour your cup out because you have so much shit, and you have to figure out, okay, what is the meaningless stuff in this cup?
Do you have an outlet?
Do I have an outlet?
Yeah, what's your outlet?
My outlet?
Where do you spill your water out?
My outlet would be, I would like to say my mind, which is very, very dangerous, and I think that's where I go, and I go in my little silent
Well, as long as your mind doesn't become a prison, you're good.
It's not necessarily a prison. I can compartmentalize things. It just depends. Yeah, I can move on from things. Like, I hate to use that word, but it's like something could happen where I could be there for someone, or work is shitty, or whatever the case might be. Something happens and I get all riled up or whatever. For me, I just need myself and time, but that's just probably because I've lived by myself for quite a bit of time of my mature life, was alone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've learned to grow accustomed to, because I didn't necessarily have sounding boards in the past. So that's a shift from getting out of my mind to, closer friends and, relationships, things like that, you have that sounding piece, in the shift of it. I mean, I do have a couple close friends that I do vent to, and those type of things, and those are important. But
But you're saying that you're your own outlet?
Sometimes,
yes.
There's
things
I think
can happen.
If you're at peace with yourself, though, that's a good place to be.
But
like
it's also, I
really
think,
good thing.
I think it's also more of what the issue is and the severity of it. So there's different pieces there. It's like.
Yeah.
Like, if it's work things, I can, call my dad and talk work all the time, even though he's not even does what I do. Like, he understands the corporate crap of it, type thing of, those type of things.
Things.
This is the things episode.
So it depends on like what world of yours that it's affecting.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that affect me, and I know enough that not to react from them. So I think some of it is just understanding that what it is and just like whatever, and just kind of move on. I don't know.
Have you always been that way?
I'm a problem solver, so I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I do find some enjoyment of solving problems, which is weirdly.
Do you try different things, like new methods, or do you have like a little personal set of rules?
Why is this now Travis's
I'm
dating
just gonna
questions?
say, Travis is
Because you have so much to say, and I'm like picking your brain now.
Do I try new things? Like new problem solving methods?
Yeah.
Of course, this is a scientific method. There's never the same way.
precisely.
Okay, anyway.
You know, like Einstein says, if you try the same thing over and over, you know, that's the definition of insanity or something along that line. You know, like it's I solve problems to make my life easier
Yeah,
is what I
okay.
try to do.
Yeah.
Like if
No,
something
I
is in
get
my
that.
way, like if something's in my way, like for example, if I need to remember to do something tomorrow, I will explicitly put something in a place where I know I will run into it
Mm-hmm.
to make sure I do it at a certain time, because that's like I put reminders all over, and I use like my phone to put reminders in, and that's all problem solving mechanisms that in my mind of just solving things and get things out of my way, because it's one less stress I have to deal with. It's one less drop of water in my cup.
Nicely said.
I like that.
So like right now, I know on my desk is I need some facial serums to buy, and I need to vote my mail-in ballot. So both of those are on my desk to deal with tomorrow morning. You know,
Oh.
I think I got one of those. I might have thrown it out.
so like it's just like those are just stupid tactics in my mind that I just put things in tomorrow they will be done. Like, and I think that's probably because my mind is so overthinking that I will never remember things because I am forgetful.
Mm-hmm.
And
Every
I think
overthought is like asking yourself to forget.
and that's why I throw
Yeah.
deliberate things in my way to help me remember. So I can manage my overthinking.
Actually, no, not every overthought is asking yourself to forget, because you can overthink some fucking fucked up things. And you're like, why am I still feeling this shit? Fuck. You know when you hear like a song and it like makes you get the song out of your head because you finally listen to it? You're like, okay, now I'm done. Well,
Or you know the song and then you try to look up the name of the title, but you don't. Well, you know the lyrics, but you don't know the name of the song, and you're like, "What is that song name?" You
yeah,
forget, yeah.
Thankfully, Shazam or Humzam or whatever the fuck you do nowadays can make you find a song. But anyway, yeah, like it's how I feel with a thought. Like sometimes you just this episode really is just a bunch of random shit. But
Things.
It's sometimes I have random like thoughts in my head that will just be so like sabotaging of a happy moment. I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, why is my own being trying to terrify me at night and telling me there's some fucked up thing behind me when I know there's not? And I'm like, the fuck? It's like, why? Because I saw something scary, and then my mind creates these imaginations of things, and it's like I know I'm not afraid of it, because I know I'm going to sleep and I'm laying there. I just don't know why my brain is like wanting to envision that to piss me off. It's like, what the fuck? Sorry. But anyway, tell me more about like what it is that you like to do
Oh my god.
with yourself.
It's the Travis interview
I'm just
random
kidding.
podcast.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm just deliberate on putting reminders in place for myself, electronically and physically, so I get things done.
Okay, we established this. Now you. Okay, so like
What do I do?
What do you like? What? Yeah, like what's your story? Like, tell the viewers.
I don't really, for as much of like an OCD, like control freak, neat freak perfectionist that I am, I don't really have like a method. I try different methods all the time, and it depends on the situation and how much I feel like prioritizing it. And I'm dealing with this right now a little bit.
Some good advice there is there are some things that don't matter, and it's just let them go. Like it's the battle of what can you perfect, or what do you have control over versus what you don't have control over.
Yeah.
And that's a part of Like, I think there's a
It's
level of
dealing with
OCD I
that,
have.
learning to use it as like a superpower versus something that's like exhausting you because you're fixating on the wrong things. And then you like fall down a rabbit hole, and then like I'll fall into like 2 hours of scrolling on TikTok.
See, that's one thing.
My phone just told me I was on it for over 12 hours on average last week a day.
No, David.
You know, that's like fucking weird to think of that half a day could just be spent on.
I was
a
like
phone.
up 130% usage.
And you never feel like it's that long.
No.
It's just a 30 seconds here, a minute there, 30-minute video here, 15-minute video there, and it's.
We live in a
Well, I
pixel
have
world.
to like take photos for work and like show clients things on my phone.
Well, that's
so,
a little
like,
different.
So I'm
Yeah.
on my phone also with work, but
I mean, I work remotely, so it's like I'm always on the screen if you really want to look at it. So,
it's
and I think that some of me, actually, now that I think about it, revelation, since I work from home, and I'm always in front, and I have less dialogue with people and less interactions with technology. When I'm done with it, there's some moments where I don't want to touch anything, and it's probably because it's a disassociation from technology.
Gotcha.
And I actually just thought of that. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'll do
No,
some
that's an
more
interesting dynamic.
more pondering on that. But I'm
Yeah.
kind of wondering if the remote life changed that
Guys,
perspective.
this is why celebrities have like their handlers or whatever, not handlers. Well, they're handlers, but
They're handlers.
they have their social media people for them because they're in front of cameras and technology all the time and people screaming in pictures and they're just like I just
zoo
want to
animals.
yeah, they're doing all these promo tours and shit. They just want to go home and just like disassociate and then like whatever photo shoot came out, they're like, "Oh yeah, like Carol, can you please like post this last photo shoot I did?" Like, you know, that's all they're
James is gonna send you the pictures from the runway, and you
Literally.
can pick the best one and edit and post.
Yeah, like that's why so many people who make it big on social media, unless they're just like from like the ground up, kind of built their career on social media, like they tend to just see it as just part of work. They don't really see anything as a big deal. But celebrities who've kind of been famous from the traditional way of being famous, I would say, like back in the day, I guess. They don't know. They don't really use social media
Some
themselves
people,
like that.
Some
I don't
people
think.
just want to.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Disassociate
I'm
and
not a celebrity.
hear silence. Like sometimes. Like,
Oh yes.
Sometimes we forget, that silence can be beautiful. Like I walked outside last night, and it was like you could hear everything, and you could it was like, oh, this is like. It's like almost like surreal. It's almost like there is almost like a void, like where you could find that piece of quietness.
I do give myself those types of days where like I go home and I just shut everything off and I just like lay with myself and my thoughts.
Which is scary sometimes because I'm the same way, where that's where I go into these introspective pieces, and maybe that's how I'm able to maneuver through a very busy and crappy world that we live in. And taking it back to the very first question is that those silences allow me to help me rationalize within my mind, because there's no other distraction besides myself. And sometimes there's very scary moments in a lot of those pieces, but it allows me to start thinking through things.
Mm-hmm.
And I might come out on top after that thought, or I might be further deeper down into, some type of thing. And that's where you have to make sure that you have others around you, if you are an overthinker, to help you kind of balance that piece of it.
Like sometimes run things like that by your close friends and
It's like, oh, I had this thought, like, what do you like? What's your thought on this thought? It's like no, Travis, that's a horrible idea. Don't do that.
Should I be concerned of having these types of thoughts?
I don't have any types of thoughts.
I feel like if you don't have concerning thoughts, just to your like best friend or even yourself, like, are you really living? Like, are you really awake? Are you like really awake in this world? Because if you're just kind of someone who's just like, yeah, like I'm here.
No one knows you're real crazy but your best friends.
Yeah, I'm actually terrified of people that are just like, yeah, I'm here. Everything's fine.
I mean, that's how I am at resting, but
Yeah, I mean, like
It's all chill, man. Don't dig deeper because you don't want to know what's on the other side.
I think everyone's feeling just such shit right now. And if you're not feeling shit, like, can I not feel that with you?
We're trying to
Just
deflect with humor and like wholesome shit, but also being aware of all of the terrible things going on.
You know, life is actually the irony of all of this is that, and I've said this before, and I still believe it. There's a lot more beauty, love, light, connection, happiness in the world than there is not. It's just the hatred, the destruction is always broadcasted to us in a way that's always tricking us to believe that there's not light on the other side and that there's not beauty in the world and a lot more empathy and shared innate consciousnesses that people acknowledge, and that's what binds us together, blah, blah, blah.
That's why I got
But-
off Facebook.
Yeah, but like I feel like most people actually believe that, and there's just a lot of fucking ignorant trolls out there that just want to spew hatred because it's their way of releasing it out into the universe without having to do it in real life. Sorry, but it's
Yeah,
true.
they don't have to deal with it like alone because there's so many people that are gonna like resonate with it on social media, so they don't actually like get it out of their system. They just perpetuate it.
Yeah,
and create this following of negativity.
it's a cesspool for hate. But again, social media can be a beautiful tool. I mean, there's ways it's helped people and just, you know, bringing honest, raw truth from the ground. Historic evidence that, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say now is for that sip of delicious water is that there is social media is basically being used to kind of highlight such evils in the world, and I think that's a beauty in it. But we also have to like understand that now with AI and all that stuff, like it can really now everything is really just up in the air, and I think that with AI being kind of given to the public like this, while there's an active genocide going on in the world, I'm like there couldn't be a better time for all of these things planned coming down now, where everything that's supposed to be that could have been challenged and held accountable is now like everything is just constantly being disputed just because of the fact AI exists and everything's can be considered a deep fake or this is fake news this, fake news that. It's like so
Everything is kind of hurting right now thanks to our progression in technology.
yeah.
And I
But-
think, you know, to kind of wrap this up, it would be more of like to conclude, like, you know, we started out with like how do we feel about the world and what's going on and how do we handle all of it, and then
and things.
we talked about a lot of things, and then we talked about, you know, Travis's ways to kind of rationalize with himself, I think, or maybe deal with those things within the world. And, you know, and I think the point of all of that was, you know, we all had to find our mechanism of how do we cope, how do we handle, how do we deal with, you know, with the world, with issues, you know, those type of things, and just find our mechanisms of how to survive, I think, is really what the answer of it is. And make sure that we have those empathetic hearts, that we stand up for humanity, you know, and we, you know, stand up against, you know, the current
Stand up against
genocide
bullies.
that's happening right now. Yes, bullies too, happening all over the place. I think that's the primary easy way answer of what's going on in the world
Mars,
is
my love,
the bullies.
you're gonna have to go.
And
Don't let people dim
Alright,
your
stay with
shine if you are not trying to do anything but put light into the world.
and
Oh, and and also like yeah, the world is as beautiful as you want it to be. Just you have to believe and manifest.
and go find some things.
Go find some things to do.
Go
Be
pick some
distra-
things
Just be
up.
distracted. The world's about to end.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
No.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Hey,
kidding.
hey, all right. Good night.
I'm kidding.
Good night.
Good night.